Welcome to Lesson 1 of Humanities 1101 at West Georgia Technical College. This particular lesson is going to be just a little bit different than the other lessons because before we can actually begin studying the humanities, we need to understand what the humanities are and why you guys need to study them. So, the humanities are the art, religion, music, literature, philosophy, architecture, science, all of the creative areas that bring humanity together. They're the common field. We might be from completely different sides of the world. We might believe completely different things and have nothing else in common, but the fact that we've both been inside of a building, we've both enjoyed art or music, or that we have the ability to think logically and critically about the world around us. And these things are the humanities, the things that bring us together as humans. And so the humanities are able to teach us things that science alone can't teach us, that learning our trade or our career occupation skills, they can't teach us. Humanities teaches us how to communicate with one another, and not just in terms of our grammar, which is an area of the humanities classically and today, but it teaches us empathy, how to find an area of common ground with someone else, how to ask better questions about someone else or their lived experiences or the culture that they've come from, which makes us better business people or more intuitive, makes us better healthcare providers because we can connect at a deeper level, makes us better educators for much the same reason, makes us better at a technical trade because, well, one, we'll have better customer service, but also because it enables us to really tap into our creative sides, which make us better employees, better coworkers, better friends, better family members, better people. And so, in the humanities, classically speaking, there were seven original areas. They were called the trivium and the quadrivium. And these areas covered everything from grammar and logic and rhetoric. So the structure of language, public speaking, rhetoric, public speaking and communication, logic, critical thinking, to areas like geometry, astronomy, music, and these areas of the trivium and the quadrivium eventually became what we know of as education today. So students had to know a little bit about everything in the ancient world in order to be considered well educated. And that well education was linked to virtue and morality for the ancient peoples. That if people could use their minds and understand the world around them, then they were more likely to be a good and virtuous person. Now, I don't know that we would go nearly that far today, but there is definitely a connection between the ability to understand so many aspects of the world around us and our own ability to be able to relate to the people in our lives or the people who pass through our lives. So in the ancient Greek, this type of education was called paideia, and it covered everything that you guys have to study plus some, even things like PE. That's where that comes from. It was part of a classical education, history, art, music, literature, all of these things people have been studying as subjects as part of a well rounded education for thousands and thousands of years. And that's because not just because that's what the way we've always done it, because there have been plenty of times that people have tried to change education to make it so that we didn't have to study these things, and they always circle back into this classical form of education because it produces a better student, because it produces a better employee, because it produces a better person. So, what are the humanities and why do we need to study them? And why and how do the humanities relate to every major that each and every one of you are studying and every career that each and every one of you want to pursue? So, at the end of this lesson, I want you to be able to not just answer those questions, but I want you to think about what is it that actually makes us human beings? Like, how are we different? If I play a piece of opera for my dog is probably going to howl. He's not going to have any appreciation for that piece of opera. Now, as a general rule, I'm not much of an opera person myself either. But what is this piece of humanity in me that might allow me to be able to enjoy some aspect of it? Or any other type of music for that matter. What is it that makes me human? What is it that makes you human? And what is it that brings us together as humans? And the humanities can answer this for us. And by knowing what brings us together, we can also look at what pushes us apart. So what are the foundations of all human culture? What do I have in common with someone who grows up on the other side of the world as part of a different religion with a completely different lifestyle? What is it that is similar about our cultures that allows us to be able to join together in conversation and in communication? And then I want you guys to understand that the humanities are also important because um, they're all around us. If you enjoy watching television or playing a video game, then you are enjoying the product of the humanities, of art and theater. If you enjoy just being able to sit and think about a difficult question, if you attend a church or are religious in any way, then you are getting the product of the humanities. That all of these things touch our lives. If you've ever looked at a really beautiful building, the humanities, it's a part of architecture. And if you've ever read a book or enjoyed a book, again, the humanities. So they relate to our daily lives, even on an individual level, not always so much on this level of being able to connect with one another. And then finally, the humanities are also something that preserve dying and lost cultures. It's remarkable what historians, archaeologists, and other experts have been able to do. They've been able to look at drawings of ancient musical instruments and ancient musical notation and recreate ancient Middle Eastern music. Or, in the more modern sense, the humanities preserve cultures that are and languages that are at risk of being lost. The traditional Celtic languages of the British Isles. There are groups of musicians and dance troupes that are taking Irish folklore and music and dance and engaging with it on a global platform that ensures that those traditions are able to survive whether or not anybody's still speaking the languages. But they're also creating and reigniting a passion for these ancient languages. It's much the same way. There's a musical troupe that tours called Shenyun, who are preserving the ancient arts and the beauty and the majesty of ancient China before communism in China. And in fact, what they do is illegal in China. You can't go to China and actually see much of this art and music and culture and dance because it's actively being destroyed. And the only way it's going to be preserved is through the humanities and being brought to a global scale. So, what are the humanities? Why are the humanities important? How do they connect us together? And so once you've explored all of that and done the readings, I want you to go through and you're going to watch a video this week that has to do with what we call a meta major. So the larger grouping of your major um, into categories, and then really start to think about on an individual scale, but also on a professional scale, how does what we're going to be studying this semester relate to you? Because I guarantee you that if you can identify that this week during this lesson, that you are going to enjoy this class so much more because you're going to be able to really focus on the things that you're interested in. You're going to have identified exactly how the material is going to help you, and that will help you be successful in this class this semester. And it will also just help you to have a better experience. Again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out and let us know. You can message your instructor anytime in the messaging tab right here in Blackboard. I hope you enjoyed the lesson this week. And if you need anything, just let us know.